Mortgage Coach community, what's up? Dave Savage interviewing Steve Sims for, I don't know, Steve, like the third or fourth time now?
I think so. I'm a repeat offender by the looks of it.
Yeah, well, it was great personally connecting. I think we had breakfast together. We spent time together. We had a drink together at a mastermind. I loved it.
Just one.
just one. I just
one
wanted
drink.
on the way out of town, you passed. You're like, hey, I'm heading out of here.
Of course.
So
you're Dave Savage, who's not going to stop and say, hey, I'm out, see you again. So, of course, I was thrilled to.
Yeah, well, it's an honor to get to know you. You killed it on stage. You were one of the top rated speakers. You know, when I ask people who are their favorite speakers, you're on the list. It was definitely one of my favorite. And there were some takeaways that I wanted to make sure we brought back into the Mortgage Coach community. Mm-hmm. So first, before we do that, even though I've interviewed you a few times, if someone's just hearing this for the first time, if you could just give them the 1 minute and share, because I want to ask how to get meetings with people that you could never think you could get a meeting with. So share some of the noteworthy human beings that you've built relationships with.
Struth. Let's keep this brief for those that have heard all this before. I'm the Make-A-Wish Foundation for people with really big checkbooks. I'm the guy that's got people married in the Vatican by the Pope, piano lessons by Elton John, been on stage with the rock band Journey, guitar lesson by ZZ Top, drum lesson by Guns N' Roses. I'm the guy that's got driving lessons by Formula One drivers. Basically, if you can dream it after a couple of whiskeys and afford it, I'm the guy that goes ahead and makes it happen. So whether it be Elon Musk, Richard Branson, the Pope, Bill Gates, I'm the guy that can.
So he's also the author of an incredible book, Blue Fishing. Check out previous interviews that I've done with Steve. But here's what I want to pull into this call, and I wanted to bring back into the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel and have a conversation about it in our Facebook group. But someone, after you gave that amazing keynote, it was awesome. You opened it up for Q&A, and that's always my favorite. Just let's throw speedballs at you.
Yeah.
And someone asked you, how do you get a meeting with, Richard Branson? How do you, and you answered it like how you got meetings with like a Richard Branson. But my community is loan officers, and there are top realtors, top financial advisors. There's, iconic local leaders that they want to get meetings with. And so I want you to, how do you get meetings with those people? And then let's connect it back to help our community get meetings with people that they can't get meetings with.
Well, let's be blunt. I get that attention and I get that kind of like, wow, because the names I'm dropping are the Pope and Elon Musk and Richard Branson. But if I wanted to connect with my next door neighbor who was maybe some bigwig that I wanted to do business with, or if I wanted to connect with someone down the road, the principles that I use are exactly the same. Take out the name Elon Musk and replace it with Barbara Cochran or whoever you want to reach. And the fundamentals are exactly the same. But people get scared because there's a pedestal name in it. There's someone famous in it. So should we go into how you actually do it or how I do it?
Yeah, share your strategy. Do it around a story. Do it like you did it from stage.
All right. So one of the things that I use as an example on stage, and I do this all the time, I tell everyone that I am never the first phone call. And in the example that we gave at Mastermind Summit, Stephen Marshall's event, I picked on a girl in the audience that was right up front. And I said, here's the scoop. If I come up to you and I go, hey, my name's Steve Sims, and I've got people married in the Vatican, I've sent them down to the Titanic, I know Richard Branson, I know Elon Musk, I'm a big deal, what would you think? Now, if I asked any of your community that, they're going to give the exact same kind of visual response that you did. And as I was saying this to the crowd, you heard these kind of giggles, these kind of, well, that's arrogant.
Yeah, like you would sound like a kook. You would not sound like a cool dude.
Let's get blunt. It's going to sound like I'm full of it. I'm full of myself. I'm an arrogant tosser. You want nothing to do with me. And you're right. But in picking on the lady that was right up front, I said, here's the scoop. If I'm in a bar and I ignore you and I walk to my side of the bar to get a drink, and this young lady who's on her table with all of her friends turns around to one of her friends and says, hey, you see that guy? He knows Richard Branson. He knows the Pope. He sent people to... If she repeats the exact same thing that I said, word for word, even down to the, he's a big deal. What's the difference in how you receive that information? And you receive it as a positive. You're suddenly inquisitive. You may want to make an excuse to go over to me and bump into me in the bar and go, hey, you know, I was speaking to Sally and she said this. Because where you get your information is everything. You get it from me and you don't know me. It's self-promotion. It's arrogance. It's, you know, bloating. It's chest puffing. It's all those kind of things. But if you get it from a friend or someone that you trust, it's a credible source. And that adds all the fuel to the fire you need. So whenever I've needed to contact anyone, whether it be literally Elon Musk, the Vatican, Andrea Bocelli, I, with my connections, can get the phone number. I can be in the same room as them very easily and very conveniently to be able to put my hand out and shake their hand and to force the introduction. But nothing will get me to credible faster than having someone in their sandpit that they know whisper in their ear and go, do you know, this is a guy you want to talk to because he's done this. That makes it a credible source. So when you want to reach out to a realtor, a development, an attorney, a power source, a referral source, any of those kind of people, look who's in their sandpit that's a credible person that's got their ear. And sometimes, and I've done this before in my earlier career, there's not always a first person. It may be someone introduces you to someone who introduces you to someone. Well, that failed, so you go back a step and you go a different direction. No one ever walked onto the roof. They got there by walking up a ladder. You've quite often got to go through 3 or 4 people before you get into the right sandpit. The better you get. And here's the good thing. When you've got that person, you've now got that person to play in your sandpit, and you can go to them. You can use your connections to get other connections. So I'm a great believer in find out who's in that sandpit that's got their ear of credibility and have them introduce you time and time again.
So this was also covered on today's call with Greg Harkavy, who is one of the leaders at Building Champions.
Yep.
Works with Bill Hart. Mm-hmm. And someone asked a question like, hey, what's the script for cold calling? And he started with, hey, you can cold call, but how about warm calls? So
bingo.
There you go. So, you know, here's my deal for everybody. Like, by the way, I think cold calling is okay, but if you have not worked really hard to make warm calls, if you've not been extremely strategic to leverage the people that know you, like you, and trust you to refer you, then you're going the long way. You know, there's a faster path to credibility and trust, and just to push to everybody in the mortgage coach community, you know, who do you know that can refer you to the right person and build that credibility?
Absolutely.
So any other just tactical advice on that? Because I want to, 2 things. I wanted to cover that, and I also want to, you know, cover that multi-channel communication that we had. And you shared some of it from stage, but any other tactics you want to cover here?
Well, I one of my little slides, I said on there that you can earn money faster than you can earn credibility, but you can earn way more money when you've got good credibility. So if you're looking for the end goal, that you've got a strong vein, look at it as a vein, a strong vein of referrals and clients and vendors and partners. If you're looking for that, then focus on the credibility route, because that in the early stages will be a harder rock to push up a hill. But once you get to that position, you can have anyone open up any door you want. And when you open up that door, they want to invite you in. And that's what you want. You don't want to just get your foot in the door anymore. You want someone to actually open it up wide, screen your name, and invite you in with balloons and cake.
So guys, get clear on who do you want to meet in your local market, and then make it happen. You know, Steve could go for another 20 minutes on a pretty extreme story. I think it was to get your introduction to Elton John. Like, how did you get to where you, like, what is it you helped do Elton John's
I've looked after Elton John's party marketing and getting the right clientele in it for like about 8 years now.
Yeah, and that didn't happen by coincidence. That
No, far
happened
from.
with intention. He knew what he wanted. He knew the party he wanted to do. He knew the guy he needed to meet, and then he put a lot of work in. The other takeaway was, while I have leveraged my social capital to get referrals to people, I'll usually try to get the referral, and then I'll think of the value. Like, okay, now I got to invent the value to win the elevator pitch. And that was another thing that I thought was super smart, is even before you ask for the intro, you have figured out, what's your unique value. And I thought that was a big takeaway.
I just think whenever two people communicate with each other, if I phone you up or you phone me up, and it's not a bad thing, but the second you reach out to someone, the person receiving that reach out can be guaranteed 100% that the other person wants something. It may be to go for a coffee. It may be to go to a beer. It may be to talk about business. It may be to get some advice. But when people reach out to another person, it's because they want something. That's fine. So what I want to do is I want to get that elephant out of the room with people that don't know me very well. So I will have someone, before I have someone introduce me to someone, I will calculate, I will investigate, I will dig up to find out, what is my end goal person looking to do? What needs to happen that our life's going to be better? It may be promoting that charity. It may be spreading awareness for a book they've got coming out. It may be helping them with marketing ideas of a gala that they're producing. Whatever that's important in their life, so that when the credible introduction's made, you can contact them and go, hey, Dave, hey, I'm thrilled that we're jumping on the phone, and I'm really chuffed that the introduction was made by Dave Savage. But before I get into what I want, I'm aware that you're doing this event and raising funds for, three-legged horses. I've got an idea how it could benefit this. And you want to very, very quickly bring that up to their attention, because then they're going to be, oh, okay, because you're talking about something they love. And also, you said it, and if you replay this, I say, before I get into what I want to bring value to the table for you. And then you talk about it, and they're like, that's great. You're showing them, again, it's that opening up the door thing. You're showing them why you are so valuable to now be a relationship to them. It could be, as I say, you've got a book coming out. I don't know who you're using to market a book, but I'm very knowledgeable in how to market a book. I would like to talk to you about how you're getting it out there, how you should position it. You can't release a book twice. You can only release it once. So, give them all this kind of advice that makes it imperative that they keep you in their Rolodex.
So here's where I want to transition and then wrap up this quick hit. Is we want to help you in this conversation get a relationship with people that are impossible to do it. So part of it's strategy, get referred, get endorsed, get in person. So we had that chat in our group where we talked about all these other channels. Hey, we've all understand an in-person meeting, connecting human to human. That is the way business is done.
All the time.
But there are other new channels of communication that help you get in person and help you make the follow-up from the in-person even more personal. So let's not tackle them all. Email for everybody, it's not even on the list. That's a clouded channel. Everybody's got a spam filter. I have emails going to my spam filter that I don't want to go into my spam filter. So not a great channel. Text.
Can I talk about that for one quick second? Okay.
Please. Yeah, this is your interview, buddy.
I sent out an email today, and I sent it out to my followers on my Steve D. Sims website. I then, an hour later, sent out the text. You may have got the text. Okay.
I did.
You did. Okay. So here is the fact. I've got 16,000 people on the stevedsims.com email list. Okay. It was opened up by 14 point something % today. Now, over the next few days, other people have opened it up, but today it was opened up with less than 15%. Okay. My texts had a read rate of 97%. Question isn't, well, does it work? The question is, why are you bothering with email? Now, anyone that I can ever, if I'm emailing someone, I'll look at those open rates and then I will give them to one of my team to look through it to make sure we've got their cell phone numbers. And for any of those people that are not, and it's laborious and it takes time, but for any of those people we don't have the cell phone numbers, we will reach out to them and say, look, we love having a conversation, but I feel as though sometimes you're missing out on the communication. May I get your cell phone number so I can keep you up to date with really cool stuff that's going to benefit you? And we get their cell phone number, we add them to the text list, and they then get the text. So text probably sold, today I was putting an offer out. I would say that text was responsible for easily over 2/3 of the purchases today between email. And my email list, my email list, I'll say about 16,000. My contact list, I think, is about 1,200, 1,400. So it's like far smaller. But it did way more time based on the text.
So text is 10x more effective to communicate. And then let's bring this down to one-to-one. You know, you've got the text number and you can use new channels like video and like audio. Yeah. And so first, this is mortgage coach community. So if you are not putting a video or an audio on your options, you're just losing relationship connection, you're losing referrals, you're losing impact, you're losing value. But let's talk about just video, because I do want to wrap this up. Sure. Keep it a quick hit, but tell everybody what you're doing. And we've talked about this in the mortgage coach community, but share how our community should use video to drive one-to-one relationships through text.
I probably got like 100 and something videos from last week speaking at Mastermind Summit when I spoke about this. So it's really cool. Here's the scoop. When you send someone an email, and we've already discussed email is terrible, but when you send someone an email, how it's read is based on the person's mood. If they won the lottery that morning, they're very happy. If they're very depressed, they're going to look at the negative connotations within your email. That's similar to a text, even though a text should always be short. I have a rule of two thumbs. If I have to scroll up twice on a text, I won't read it. I will literally respond with, please send me this information in an email. So text is short stuff. So you get your phone, we all have these things, and we record and we go, hey, Dave, and when you texting it to someone, keep it vertical. When it's actually a landscape, it doesn't come across as well. So keep it vertical. And you go, hey, Dave, it was really good to get together with you last week, but I wanted to know, could we follow up? And then you can Facebook message that, you can LinkedIn message that, or you can text them that. But then, quite simply, you're removing the element of confusion, because they can't misinterpret what you're saying, because they can see your eye contact. They can see how happy you are. I really enjoyed getting together with you last week, Dave. You were cool as hell. They can get all of that. Now, the last statement that I just made, you can't put that in text. You can highlight it, you can underline it, you can make it big and bold in lime green, but you can't get the enthusiasm through in what is called tonality. And tonality misses every single time in any kind of written format. And here's the final thing that we all agree on. You can never get your grammar wrong when you do a video. So it's faster to do a video, text it to someone, and then it is impossible to misunderstand what you're trying to get through to the person you're sending it to.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about spelling errors. I loved that, being a dyslexic person that doesn't have good spelling skills. So guys, we're talking about text to text. You know, pick up your iPhone, pick up your Android, hold it landscape, you know. Or vertical, not landscape. You know, go into the actual text, hit the camera, hit the video, make sure it's broadcasting you, leave personal videos. Also, listen to the interview that I did with Brian Manning, top producer in Boulder, Colorado, closed 20 loans last year. There'll be a link down below. He's sending like 150 person-to-person, text-to-text videos to realtors. Check it out. So let's wrap this up. I want to make sure the mortgage coach community gets the maximum value from you. You know, I've read your book, I've interviewed you, connected with you. I think you're a super important, compelling leader in the mortgage and real estate space. How can folks connect with you, get on your list, and get the most valuable possible from you?
Well, there's a couple of ways. You can go to stevedsims.com. That's SIMS, stevedsims.com. ahead of the curve. That's actually a special program just for mortgage brokers and loan officers. So that's stevedsims.com / ahead of the curve. Or you can actually just text the word SIMS, SIMS, to 33777. That way, not only will you be able to get my emails and you'll get my videos, you'll actually, by doing that, get a free copy of the cheat sheet from Bluefishing, as well as one of my favorite videos on something called the Chug test about auditing your circle of people.
So I love that. So if you're listening to this on YouTube, down below, there'll be a description. There'll be a link. There'll be that cell. If you're watching this on Facebook, Steve and I will put a link down below. Highly recommend you take the next step with Steve. Make him one of your leaders. I follow him. You should follow him on LinkedIn, Facebook. Steve Sims, I'm looking forward to the next call with you. Any parting words for the crew here?
Action stuff. It always annoys me when someone phones up and said, hey, I read your book. I don't care. What I want to hear is I read your book and I did this with it. So do stuff with it. Get some power in there and get ahead of the curve.
And if you got value, give us a like. Share this with your mortgage friends. Can't wait till the next time,
Boom.
brother.
See you later, pal.